Hi, everyone. My name is Terry Crosby in Care of Relationships. I am a life and relationship coach, and I often say that I help people who love each other get along. Today, we're talking about self-awareness. Self-awareness is truly a superpower. And I want to go over what self-awareness is all about, what skills are helpful, and some steps you might um, go through to be able to become more self-aware in areas that matter to you. All right. So self-awareness is noticing and paying attention and observing ourselves. In general, that's what it is. And I always emphasize that it has to do with facts only, not judgments. So it's not about conclusions you come to about yourself. It's nothing negative. It's facts only. Here's another way to say it. It's that it's a person's ability to be aware of their own thoughts and emotions and have thoughts and emotions about those thoughts and emotions in real time. Okay. Here's another way to say it, because there are lots of ways to describe it, and you can use the one that makes the most sense to you. This one is, it's conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And then it's also the ability to notice how our actions and our thoughts or our emotions do or don't align with our internal standards. So the reason we're talking today about self-awareness is that it's tied to all sorts of positive things, improvement in relationships. It's emotional intelligence, and some of the positive outcomes are better emotional regulation, more focus and discipline, and basically it's linked with overall happiness and well-being. It's a big deal. So everything I do in my business in care of relationships truly is about improving self-awareness as a skill, because it makes such a big difference. It's at the root of all personal change and transformation, because until you're self-aware, in a particular area that's causing you trouble, until you're self-aware, you can't really do anything about it. But once you are, then you've got wings, you've got your feet on the ground, boots on the ground, you can get somewhere. And in psychology, the term used often is metacognition. That's more casually known as self-awareness. But in psychology, metacognition is described as a person's ability to be aware of their own thoughts and emotions and have thoughts and emotions about those thoughts and emotions in real time. That's the definition you really get from psychology. So what does it mean to be self-aware? What are some examples? So one is, you are good at recognizing emotional triggers. We all have them. Any situation that sparks an intense emotion, we call those a trigger. So a really simple example might be being frustrated at work with a certain colleague that always affects you a certain way. Being in meetings with this person, you have a predictable reaction. Maybe at work or at home or whatever, somebody is monopolizing the conversation. That's another one, and it bugs you. Whatever the situation is, you have a strong reaction to it. So if you recognize it, you can start to do something about it. We'll talk about the steps for that a little bit later today. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses. That's another part of self-awareness. We're all a blend of strengths and weaknesses. And the point about being self-aware about them is that you can, how would you say this? You can play to your strengths while still learning, fixing your weaknesses, getting better at things you don't know how to do, that kind of thing. But you can feel a little more confident while you're learning is really the key. So self-awareness is also about identifying your values, what matters to you, what motivates you. That's an example of a way to be self-aware. Um, so let's say I value honesty. So at work, if somebody asked me to bend the rules, I might just, and I know that I value honesty, and it's really, I'm aware of that. It's an awareness I have about myself. Then I might just say, no, thank you. I might just say, no, thank you. And at home, I'm in favor of honesty as well, transparency. So I create environments at home and at work that reflect my value if I'm self-aware. So that's an advantage. It's nice to feel authentic. So another part of self-awareness is acknowledging your emotional responses and reactions. So instead of kind of brushing off a reaction or repeating a reaction many times, you can go, oh, look what I do. Do I want to continue to do that? So, you can grow. Same thing about behavior patterns. We all have patterns, we all have reactions. So some of our patterns work to our advantage and others don't. So if we're self-aware, we can throw them all on the table and say, which ones do I want to keep? All right. Tuning into your body's signals. That's another way to be self-aware. Our bodies talk, they talk a lot, and they give us a lot of information. If you pay close attention during a conversation, maybe a great conversation, maybe a difficult conversation, but if you pay attention, if you're self-aware, then you can really, you can keep the signals, the signals can help you. They become choice points. So if I get a stomach ache in this kind of situation, I can go, I wonder what I can do about that. I wonder why that's affecting me so much. And then there's also the thing about past experiences, just kind of noticing when past experiences come into a present moment. That's a way to be self-aware. So what is required to be more self-aware? One of the most important qualities, I think, in being self-aware is the skill of curiosity. And it's big deal. Being curious helps with self-awareness so much. If I'm not curious, then it's hard for me to kind of want to look at myself and what I'm doing and whether it works or not. So curiosity, I wanted to mention some qualities of curiosity. It's that you're eager to learn, and that your basic approach to life there's always more to know. You welcome feedback, even when it doesn't match your take on something, even if it feels critical. That's a big one. Another sign of curiosity is that you regularly and actively invite others' points of view, and that your style is that you prefer open dialogue and discussion. You ask questions and you gather information before coming to a conclusion. That's a curious person. You actively and intentionally listen when other people challenge your ideas. That's a big deal. So you don't defend, you say, tell me more. That's a curious person. You're unafraid to revise your opinion. Another big deal. You're willing and able to make a course correction when presented with new information. And I love this one. You create an environment where your boss, colleagues, family, and intimate partner can question you easily and without consequence. And then the last one that I have here is you avoid false certainty by actively testing your truth. If you're a curious person, you have an opinion, we all do, but you continually test that and wonder if it's still true. So you take time to re-examine and determine if what you're sure about is accurate according to facts or data or some other valuable source of information. It can also be based on intuition. You can, that's also in there as an option. So how do you find a situation that you want to work on, and and then what do you do? So how do we, what's an example of becoming, how one might go about becoming more self-aware? Okay, what I always tell people is to pick a golden situation. And I call it a golden situation because there's gold in it. That's really the easy way to say it. So it's a situation that upsets you, that if you figure out what's really going on in that situation, then it turns into gold. All right. So here are some examples of golden issues. Who made you upset recently and why? What offends you? Ideas like people should always or people should never, oh, they should never do that. So that's what offends you. Here's another example of a golden situation. What's a subject where you have zero sense of humor? That's always a good one. What pushes your buttons? What yanks your chain? Somebody's maybe, so here's an example of yanking your chain. Somebody's trying to change a previously established agreement and you're feeling whiplash about it. That'd be an example of a golden situation. Another one is what situations, people, or types of comments turn you into the person you never really want to be. You just have a snap reaction to it. That's a golden situation. An example might be your expectations aren't being met again, a repeat situation, and then you just lose it, you turn into somebody you don't really want to be. All right, another one is, with whom are you typically impatient and why? Even a little bit. What is something you disliked about a partner you divorced? That's a golden situation. Which rules of, here's another one. Which rules of yours, when they get broken, send you reeling? Sometimes it happens on TV, somebody on TV does something and you just, they send you reeling. Okay. It could be in politics. It could be on a comedy show, whatever. What are you sure you're right about? That's another place you can find golden, golden situations. There's one right way to think about something, and that's it. What philosophies, political beliefs, or attitudes make your hair curl? Golden situations. Where do you feel helpless? That's another one. Yeah. Where do you feel most helpless? And the last one is, how do you hold back? What do you shrink from? When do you, when do you shrink from who you are? You kind of back away and give up. That's another kind of golden situation. So the whole idea is to find one of those golden situations and apply self-awareness and curiosity to this. Apply it and then see where that takes you. Then that golden situation truly becomes golden. Until you mine the gold from it, it's more of it's an irritation or a frustration or whatever. All right, so here are the steps that you can apply to that golden situation. And remember to stay really simple and don't elaborate. Just no story, just facts, just kind of stay in that lane. You'll have better success with undoing it. All right. So number one, you describe, so these are steps that help you become more aware of what's really going on in the situation. Number one, describe it in facts only. Exactly what happens, what are the steps, what leads up to it, what's the prompt or the trigger, and what's your reaction. So get that down on paper, just write it down, those steps, what leads up to it, what's the prompt, and what's your reaction. All right, number two, can you name the upset? Say it in a couple of words. It can be just, you can call it frustration, or you can call it disagreement, or it can be descriptive, like lights out, or I want to run away, or I feel like I'm up against a wall, any, whatever, but just some kind of, I go bananas, some little phrase that kind of sums up the trouble with that situation. Okay. Call it something simple so you can refer to it easily. It's a little bit like a code phrase. And then where does it land in your body? Where do you feel it? Describe the sensation. If it does it have a color? Is it still? Does it move? Just find it, because it does land somewhere. Every golden situation lands somewhere. And then so those are the first steps. And I consider those sort of the self-aware steps, that just getting aware of what's going on. And then if you get curious about it, that's really helpful. So I would say that the curiosity steps are, how did you learn the reaction? Reactions are learned, and we usually pick up the reaction, the learned response, the reaction. We usually pick that up somewhere along our trail. We're taught a lot more than we think we are. We're not just born with these. We learn them, especially in the first 7 years of our life, where we're kind of we're just unprotected, and everything just goes in without any kind of, should I keep this or not? Or is this a good thing? Should I remember this? We just remember them. And so sometimes it's really helpful to ask yourself, who taught you this reaction? When did you learn it? Who gave it to you? And a really big question is it yours? Sometimes I start with that. Is this my reaction? And usually the answer is no. I learned it somewhere. And who did I learn it from? And it's just helpful to know that it's not yours. You don't have to keep it, and that it was learned. It's not actually naturally yours. So in this situation, this is the next question I ask myself, and I find this so transformative, this particular question. In this situation, how might you respond if you were being true you? So for a moment, you set the learned reaction aside. And without that, like, what would you prefer to do? Or who are you really in this situation? And so if we're in a relationship and we're being our real selves, not who we were taught to be, or forced to be, or felt obligated to be, who is true you in this situation? Who is that? You're probably kinder than you were taught to be. That's one of the big ones I found. Okay. I know I've given a lot of information pretty quickly today about self-awareness and curiosity. So let me do a summary. Self-awareness is, in just the shortest version, self-awareness is a person's ability to be aware of their own thoughts and emotions, and have thoughts and emotions about those thoughts and emotions in real time. Curiosity is a skill that contributes to our ability to be self-aware. Curiosity means you're eager to learn. There's always more to know. You gather information before making a decision, and you're willing and able to make course corrections when you get new information. That's a curious person. You go after the truth for you, you know. And then a golden situation is one that upsets you. It's golden because once you unravel it, it holds gold. So you find a golden situation that you want to unravel and unpack a little bit. And then you apply curiosity and gain self-awareness as a result. So becoming more aware and curious about a golden situation leads you to being more of true you. And that's a beautiful thing. All right. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm Terry Crosby. If I can be of assistance to you, I would love for you to contact me through my website, In Care of Relationships. My contact information is right here on this page. And thank you for considering this information. Thank you for taking notes. Thank you for applying it, and for sharing this episode with someone who might enjoy it as well. Send it to anyone who might find it useful. All right. I'll see you next time. And in the meantime, take very, very, very good care of yourself. I'll see you soon.